everyone, I'm Saffitz. Welcome to my home kitchen. Today I'm going to show you one of my favorite recipes from the book. It is one of my favorites in the book, one of my favorite layer cakes in the book, and it is one of my favorites in the book. This is ridiculous. Whatever, I really like it. What do I say about it? They're all good. What can I say? I wouldn't have put it in the recipe if it wasn't good. Hey everyone, I'm Saffitz. Welcome to my home kitchen. Today I'm going to show you the most delicious cookie recipe that is also extremely fussy. Full disclosure, it's going to use a lot of equipment and dishes, but I promise you it's worth it. I would not put it in the book if it wasn't worth it, and to me it is like the end all be all of cookies. It is my oat and pecan brittle cookie. I feel very strongly that as a recipe developer, I'm not going to tell you to do something in your home kitchen that I would not do in mine. So generally that means not asking you to get a bunch of pieces of equipment out, not having to do a lot of dishes, because I don't want to do that at home either. But every once in a while I make an exception because the recipe demands it and it is worth it. So for these oat and pecan brittle cookies, you do need a food processor and a stand mixer. And also you have to brown butter and you make a pecan brittle and then you have to chill the dough overnight. This is not for the faint of heart, but you can do it. So, equipment, food processor, stand mixer, small saucepan, obviously baking sheets. The ingredients are actually very, very straightforward, and we're gonna do a lot of important transformation of those ingredients. We have pecans, I've already chopped them, eggs, butter, cut into pieces. You actually want your eggs to be cold from the refrigerator. That's counter to what you see in a lot of recipes where you want everything room temp, but I will explain why. Old-fashioned rolled oats, don't use the quick cooking kind. You want old-fashioned. Then flour, dark brown and white granulated sugars. We also use baking soda, a lot of kosher salt. These are pretty salty cookies. Vanilla extract, and most ingredients we use in a couple different places. So ingredients are humble, probably things you already have at home. It's the method that really makes these cookies. The first thing you want to do is toast your pecans. I've already chopped these pecans, and like when you chop nuts, you often get some of these like little dusty things. That's fine. I actually like having all different sizes. So just get those on a small rim baking sheet. I burn nuts all the time. So I always put them in the oven thinking like, oh, I'll remember, I'll know when they're done, and then I forget, and then they burn. So just set a timer. Brittle is like a type of candy. So it is a toffee or a caramel that is aerated with baking soda. Toffee or caramel is acidic. When you add baking soda, it reacts, produces gas, and you have this kind of bubbly like mixture, and then you want to spread it out before it cools into a slab, and you have this delicious, crunchy candy. So I have baking soda right here. I'm going to add baking soda and salt at the end. So I'm going to measure those out in advance because I want to have them ready to go as soon as my caramel is at the right point. So I have a half a teaspoon of kosher salt, and I'm going to measure a half a teaspoon baking soda, granulated sugar, and then 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Just to encourage the sugar to dissolve and to prevent any separating of the fat and the sugar, I started off with a little bit of water. This helps to bind everything together. So as if I were making a caramel, I'm going to stir it in the beginning just until it comes up to a boil. And the stirring action is to encourage that sugar to dissolve. And now I'm going to switch to swirling. So swirling is a way to even out the heat and equalize the temperature throughout without stirring, because stirring tends to encourage crystallization. And we don't want a grainy brittle, we want a smooth brittle. Now I'm at a boil. I'm gonna keep cooking this. This will cook until that mixture starts to turn golden, and then amber, and then deep amber, and that is our stopping point. I'm gonna take a look at the pecans. These are on their way, but could use another minute or so. Okay, so I'm just gonna sit here and wait for those and wait for this. The pecans are done. I feel confident about that. So now my brittle mixture is starting to take on a golden color. So this is where I'm going to pay attention. I have medium heat under it. All right, so I think I'm at that right color. That looks like a very dark golden brown. So I'm going to kill the heat. And now in go my pecans. Give that a stir. So you want the pecans to be well coated. Once you have everything mixed together, now is that important step where I'm going to add the baking soda, kosher salt. That will cause a foaming effect. And as soon as I get it well incorporated with some rapid stirring, it'll go onto my little sheet pan. And while this mixture is still hot, try to spread it in a single layer. You just want it spread out enough that you could cut it up. This is our pecan brittle. Truly, if you only wanted to go this far in the recipe, break this up and put it in a bag. This makes a phenomenal gift. It is delicious. Well, I have nowhere to put anything, so I'm going to put it on my trash can, because that's sometimes where I need to put things. So the brittle has cooled. It's still slightly warm, but it's totally set, so you can see we have just this solid block. Before I chop it up, I'm just going to break it up into bits, just to make it easier. It seriously, for the first time, it just made sense why it's called brittle. It's very brittle. I don't know why that never clicked. Okay, so I'm just going to start chopping. In the recipe, I say to cut it up so that the largest pieces are about the size of a pea. So, you know, something like this looks good. But irregular is fine. Some larger pieces are fine. Some smaller pieces are definitely fine. I just love oat cookies. I mean, I love oats in general. I just really wanted like a caramelly, nutty, chewy oat cookie. So I have 2 sticks, 8 ounces of unsalted butter cut into pieces. Half of these are going to go in the bowl of my stand mixer. I'm only browning half the butter. The rest will go into my saucepan. This butter is just melting. I have it over like medium high. And browning the butter adds such an amazing like caramelized flavor to the butter. And I love it so much that I have to actively try not to put brown butter in like every recipe, because it just makes everything more delicious. So when you're browning butter, you want to pay attention, because those milk solids can burn very easily. And you also want to give it near constant agitation, and not just agitation, but also scraping. Those milk solids have a tendency to want to stick to the sides and bottom of the pot. So by keeping them moving, you're just going to prevent burning. All right, so now we're starting to get some golden colors. The darker it gets, the more flavor you'll have. I'm going to kill the heat, because there's enough heat left in the pot to continue to toast the butter. It smells so good. See, there's that really fine foam. I'm going to now just pour it into the bowl of the stand mixer on top of the cold butter that's already in there. And the idea is that the cold butter inside will help to drop the temperature of the brown butter. And I want that to hang out until the butter is room temperature. Get every last one of those specks into the bowl. I mean, that sounded really bossy, but I just mean you're going to want to do that because that's all the flavor. I have a love-hate relationship with my food processor. I love what quick work it makes out of like doing basically anything, but I hate cleaning it. But in this case, I absolutely need it because I need to grind my flour mixture. So I have all-purpose flour right here. This recipe has a relatively low proportion of flour, and that's because I'm using oats, which absorb a lot of moisture, so I don't need as much flour. 2 teaspoons of kosher salt and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. To this, I'm adding half of my oats. I have 2 cups of old-fashioned rolled oats, so 1 cup into the food processor. And basically, I'm like making oat flour. I'm grinding these oats into the flour. And finally, half of my pecan brittle. The remaining half and the remaining oats, these get mixed into the dough at the end. So I just want to go until it's very fine, everything's broken down. Everything is pretty fine. No big pieces. If you had a blender, I think you could do this in your blender, by the way, so you don't have to have a food processor. Although I didn't try it, so let me know how it turns out if you do go that route. Here is the butter. You don't even need it to be this solid, just as long as it's not hot. I actually want the eggs to help set the butter so that the cookie dough is firmer. So I have 2 cold eggs. I'm gonna start by adding my sugars. I have granulated, and this is dark brown. With cookies, it's always great to have a mix of granulated and brown sugars because the granulated sugar will give you that crispy edge and the brown sugar will keep that center chewy. Again, I'm not creaming it really. I don't want light and fluffy. I just want it to be well mixed and smooth and kind of satiny. All right, so now I'm gonna add my eggs one at a time. And I want these to emulsify in, and also they will chill that butter and thicken it a bit. Oh, I forgot, I almost forgot. All right, I almost forgot about the vanilla. The presence of vanilla extract is so important. It is that mixture of vanilla, butter, and brown sugar that gives that butterscotchy flavor that I really want and crave in cookies. So I use a full tablespoon of vanilla extract. Okay, now it's time to add the dry ingredients. You don't have to sift this, it'll be a little lumpy, but that's fine. It's gonna kind of pulse this in. If I were to turn it on, it would just blow everywhere. All right, so I gave that a thorough mix. And now I'm going to mix in the very last ingredients, which is the remaining 1 cup of oats and the remaining chopped up pecan brittle. Kind of looks like concrete, but tastes really good. So now, you went through all of that trouble and you cannot bake it right now. I highly recommend that you chill the dough before you bake it. Chilling cookie dough and just letting it rest in the fridge does so much for the final cookies. It improves the texture, it improves the flavor, it gives you that lovely wrinkled edge, like it will look better. So if you need to, eat some of the raw dough and then chill the rest. So I portion these into 2-ounce balls. A scoop is really great. I used this scoop to portion the same dough last night, which I'll show you. I have it in the fridge. And now in retrospect, I don't think it's 2 ounces. So I'm gonna measure it. A 1/4 cup of water is 2 ounces. So let's try it. These are not the same, are they? This is definitely smaller. All right, so this is, I think, wow, damn it. I think it's only 1 ounce. Where's my 2-ounce scoop? Basically 2 ounces is a 1/4 cup. So if you don't have a 2-ounce scoop, you can use a 1/4 cup measure, which is, I guess, what I'm gonna do because I don't know where my 2-ounce scoop is. So I like scrape, scoops them up and then scrape against the side of the bowl. And then you can kind of level it off and then just go once around and make a little mound. And so this recipe makes about 18 large cookies. These blobs are not the most visually appealing, but they're gonna bake into a beautiful, delicious cookie. These are gonna go into the fridge, I'll cover it. It says like even 2 hours is fine, but 8 to 24 hours I think is best. And in here I have a tray that I did last night. Now on this one I used the 1-ounce scoop. So I'm actually going to mush 2 of them together into 1 cookie. Anything that you don't need in the moment to bake, and into your freezer. I cannot emphasize enough how awesome it is to have cookie dough ready to go in your freezer. The idea of like a personal warm cookie at night is, oop, this will just go in the fridge for now. I'll put that in there later. All right. I love nothing more than my own warm cookie from the oven for dessert. You know what? I don't trust necessarily that these are, I just want to double check the size. 1.5 ounces, it's so annoying. What a pain. So then I have to do 1/3 of each. So each one of these gets 1/3 of another blob mushed onto it. Sometimes you have to improvise. I'm smushing 1/3 of a blob onto my existing blobs. Let's see. 2 on the nose. So these are obviously quite large cookies. I like to give them plenty of room on the baking sheet. So I think you can safely fit 8 of these. So here I have my 8 2-ounce portions of dough. That's 9. Okay, here I have 8. These are gonna go in. And because they are large cookies, they take a little while to bake, 16 to 20 minutes. Oops, in the recipe I said to do 6 pieces on each tray. It'll be fine. Okay, here are my cookies. I would defer to myself in the actual recipe, which is it's better to put 6 instead of 8. But actually they look really good. I just love how wrinkly these cookies get, and like seeing that really dark golden brown edge and then the paler center, I just know they're gonna be crispy, chewy, and then soft in the center. I'm very excited, but these have to cool. Because they are so thin and soft, let them cool for a while on the baking sheet before you try to transfer them to a rack. So when you take them out, you might see that the center looks a little bit shiny still, and that's fine. Like I do like to underbake cookies in the center slightly, and then they set as they cool. Here are my still warm, but ready to eat oat and pecan brittle cookies. I'm gonna taste this one. I'm really glad that I toasted those pecans really well, because it's such a nice balance to all of the kind of butterscotchy flavors going on. This cookie is insane, and it totally justifies the also insane amount of work that goes into them. But like, I really don't think I've ever had a better cookie. These are great for the holidays. Let me know how they turn out for you. Leave a message in the comment section. Make it be like a community thing. Can I show you which one I like for the beauty?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I like this one. Look at how pretty it is. How do I pin him? Rick, are you there? Hi.
How are you?
Look who it is.
Hey! Oh my god. What's up, Rick? Masked man.
When I think of cookies, I think of Rick. And it was like, it didn't matter what was going on or like what recipes you were working on, you were just like always making cookies. And particularly, you're really known for the Heath Bar chocolate chip cookie, which is like one of the most phenomenal chocolate chip cookies ever. I wanted to show you these because I feel like this is a very Rick kind of cookie.
I really want that right now.
So this is an oat pecan brittle cookie.
Oh god.
And it's a Rick cookie for a couple of reasons. One, it's just like super delicious, but 2, I feel like the method would really speak to you. And there's brown butter in it, but it's so good. So I have so much cookie dough frozen from these. So I'm gonna try to mail them to you and see how it works.
God.
So I wanted to tell you about this one and then to talk about cookies and like what are you gonna be baking for the holidays? And like, are you gonna bake for the holidays? Tell me your plan.
Yes, definitely gonna bake for the holidays. It's sad because actually cookies aren't as big a thing here as I would wish they were. So that just means I have to bake all my own, so that's fine. The things that I really like here that I've been incorporating more into my cookies, the piloncillo, which is Mexican brown sugar, but it has a very distinctive caramelly, smoky, molassesy flavor, but also coconut, because like this area like grows a lot of coconut, so the coconut here is incredible. Even the dried coconut is just like phenomenal.
Yeah.
So anytime I can stick coconut in something, I'm there for it.
Well, I miss you.
I miss you
I
too.
wish we could bake together, but sometime soon. I'll talk to you soon. Let me know when you get the cookies.
Okay, bye.
All right, miss you. Bye. Hey everyone, I'm Claire. I want to thank you for watching me make recipes from my new cookbook, Dessert Person, and I wanted to take a moment to highlight the work of another Penguin Random House author. This book is called Time to Eat by Nadia Hussein. I was first introduced to Nadia, like many of you, because she is the winner of the Great British Bake Off, and she also has her own Netflix series. And this book is all about super smart, very delicious, quick weeknight recipes. Nadia has a family. She knows sort of how busy people are, and this book has solutions for you. She also has a baking book coming out in 2021, so stay tuned for that. Check this one out.